Jungle, nestled amongst towering trees and sparkling streams, lived a lion cub named Mufasa. Now, Mufasa was a peculiar lion indeed, despite being the offspring of the mighty Shere Khan, the king of a nearby, but not this, territory. Mufasa was the most timid creature you could ever imagine. A fluttering butterfly could send him scampering behind a bush, and even the chirping of a cricket would make his fur stand on end. As fate would have it, Mufasa had committed a rather un-lion-like offense. Instead of roaring fiercely, he had accidentally tripped over the tiny King Chuha's royal picnic basket, scattering the royal cheese and crackers everywhere. As punishment for this grave crime, the wise old Hahathi, who often mediated disputes in the jungle, decreed that Mufasa would be responsible for cleaning the entire jungle for a whole month. The jungle was a bustling place. Monkeys, notorious for their mischievous nature and considered the local badmash, rascals, swung through trees, often dropping banana peels and empty coconut shells. Parrots chattered and left trails of fruit seeds. Even the gentle deer managed to leave behind little well-you-know. Mufasa's days became a comical spectacle. Armed with a tiny twig broom and an oversized leaf dustpan, he would tiptoe around, his eyes wide with fear. A sudden rustle in the leaves would make him jump, dropping his cleaning tools. The other animals, especially the Bandar gang, found his predicament endlessly amusing. They would deliberately drop mango skins near him, or playfully flick leaves in his direction, dissolving into fits of laughter as Mufasa yelped and scurried away. "Look at the mighty Shere Khan's cub," a cheeky Bandar would screech, swinging upside down. "So brave, he's afraid of a fallen berry." The jungle had its own little economy. There were stalls selling fresh fruits and vegetables, run by a family of industrious rabbits. A wise old tortoise operated a surprisingly popular grocery store, stocking everything from nuts to wild honey. There was even a butcher shop run by a family, managed by a flock of very organized hens. Here was the ironic twist. Mufasa and his father, Shere Khan, were forbidden from eating any meat within this jungle as part of a peace treaty with the other animals. They could, however, operate the meat and chicken shops, selling to the other carnivores who occasionally visited from outside the territory, but consuming it themselves was strictly off limits. This made Mufasa's cleaning duties even more fragrant, especially near the butcher and chicken shops. The smell of roasted chicken would make his stomach rumble, but the thought of actually eating meat terrified him almost as much as a grumpy squirrel. Despite the constant teasing, Mufasa diligently, albeit fearfully, went about his task. He swept paths, collected discarded fruit, and even tried to organize the Bandar's chaotic collection of shiny pebbles, a task he quickly gave up on. Slowly, something began to change. As he cleaned, he started noticing the little things. The intricate patterns on a fallen leaf, the vibrant colors of a wild mushroom, the busy life of an ant colony. He even had a few near-friendly encounters with some of the less boisterous jungle residents, like a shy deer who accidentally nudged his dustpan, and a family of hedgehogs who seemed rather appreciative of his efforts in clearing their burrow entrance. One afternoon, the Bandar gang decided to play a particularly mean trick. They cornered Mufasa near the fruit stalls, pelting him with overripe mangoes. Mufasa, instead of his usual panicked retreats, let out a small, shaky roar, more of a squeak, really, and held his ground, his tiny broom held out like a shield. To everyone's surprise, the Bandar hesitated. They were so used to Mufasa's immediate fear that this tiny act of defiance caught them off guard. Just then, King Chuha, the tiny ruler with a surprisingly loud voice, scurried onto a nearby mushroom. "Enough!" he squeaked, his voice surprisingly commanding. "Mufasa is fulfilling his punishment. Leave him be." The Bandar, despite their badmash reputation, had a healthy respect for the king. They grumbled, but backed off. From that day on, while Mufasa remained a timid soul, something had shifted. He still jumped at sudden noises, but he was a little less prone to full-blown panic. The other animals, having witnessed his perseverance and the king's support, started teasing him a little less. They even began to appreciate the cleaner paths and the tidier clearings. Mufasa's month of cleaning duty eventually came to an end. The jungle was noticeably spick and span. King Chuha, in a grand ceremony, attended by all, including a rather grumpy Shere Khan, declared Mufasa's punishment served. Mufasa never became a brave, roaring lion. He remained the jungle's most endearingly cowardly resident, but he had learned something important. Even the smallest and most fearful among us can make a difference, one careful sweep at a time. And sometimes, a little bit of forced responsibility is all it takes to find a tiny spark of courage within. The jungle continued to be a lively and funny place, with Mufasa, the timid lion cub cleaner, playing his own unique and surprisingly important part in its vibrant tapestry.